All right, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for coming and spending some time here during your busy season. OEP just started and AEP has been around for a minute if you celebrate. I know this is an OEP thing, but many of you celebrate both. My name is Chelsea Gomez. I am your one and only learning and development specialist here at Action Benefits. And today we're going to talk about some of the news that you might have gotten previously, but we're updating you again, just like we promised, about some of the things that are changing this OEP in comparison to previous years. Joining me is my criminal partner, Randy Lober. Randy, do you have the people what they want?
No crime, actually. Hopefully, we'll be committed in the process of this webinar. But thank you all for joining us here today. We put a lot of hard work into making sure we've got everything covered that we possibly can into this session, with the exception of whatever is going on with enhanced premium tax credits, just as a preview, because the government doesn't know either yet, right? But we'll let you know what we know about everything and help you get you off to a great start. I'll be helping out Chelsea by monitoring the chat and Q&A today. So please, as the spirit moves you, put those chats and questions in their appropriate places, and we'll help you get an answer before today is out.
I do apologize. Yes, Randy is correct. Hate to spoil it, but we don't know if the subsidies are going to be reverted, well, unreverted, I guess. We don't know. We don't have any special news. Believe it or not, Randy and I do update things literally up to the minute. So we were checking this morning, hoping that we would be like breaking some news to you guys and be like right up on there as your guys's like newscasters, news anchors. But unfortunately, nothing was announced, so we don't have any solid news for you. I do have a rumor, but that's that's about it. I can share the rumor that I heard once we get there, but I do not have any answers for you about the enhanced premium tax credits. But I do have some answers for you of some things that CMS has been clarifying in the weeks since we've had this last update that I can hopefully shed some light on some of the things for you that you might have as like other questions. So before we get started, I know there's a couple of you in here who might have not been at our webinar last month about the OEP update. So if you could be so kind as to drop in the chat either A, B, C, or D, how would you describe your awareness of the changes that are going on in the under 65 market? Or if you have a specific thing you're looking for from us today, if you'd like to drop that in the chat as well. That helps me kind of guide my conversation with you today. So go ahead and drop that in there if you would like. You can say it just to the hosts and panelists, by the way, if you are someone who wants to be braggadocious just to us, but not to the rest of the, you don't want to come off as too braggadocious and you want to say, oh, I know all of it. But you only want us to know you know all of it. You can put that as hosts and panelists, or you can switch to everyone and you can let everyone know how well you know what we're going to talk about today. So it looks like from our chat, we have some who are brand new and we have some who know some things and would like some more clarification. So luckily, no one's looking to stand us up today. So I will please feel free for especially for you newbies in here today, please feel free to interrupt us with any questions you might have. I might not get to it right away. I might finish my sentence before I answer you, but there will be, go ahead and use the Q&A or the chat feature to ask any questions you might have. And with that, let's get started. So I try to organize things because it helps me when I think about plan changes or OEP changes or changes to the marketplace in general. It always helps me to think of how was it before. I don't know if it's inverted or not. So how is it before? How is it after? It hopes to help me like kind of schema activate and understand exactly what I'm being told is changing. So that's the way I structured these slides. So hopefully that's helpful for you. So on stage left, you will see plan year 2025. Stage right, you will see plan year 2026. So that's how it was, as it once was, and then 2026 is as it shall be. So keep those things in mind as we go through. And sometimes I'll give you a spoiler in the center. You'll see sometimes where we explain even further. for things such as the premium tax credits is one of the ones where we have lots of explanation for you because it is kind of difficult to like wrap your brain around, I guess, if you are unfamiliar with the premium tax credit. So if you're unfamiliar, if you want to start from the very, very beginning, premium tax credits are the way that the government pays for a percentage of enrollees' premiums. That money goes directly to the carrier, and it helps make the insurance a little bit more affordable for your clients. So they will not have to pass any money between each other, but the money has gone directly to the carrier from the government in order to make premiums a little more manageable. But who exactly gets those premium dollars is changing this year. So you might have heard they're going away. There is a lot of rumors surrounding that. They're not going away. Even the first time I read it, I'm like, wait, are they going away? They are not going completely away. There's just going to be a subsidy cliff reinstated. So those who are within 100% to 400% of the federal poverty level will pay a reduced premium, but those who make over 400% of the poverty level will go back to paying the full premiums for their coverage as they once did back in previous to the ACA, so back in like 2021. So anyone who is making over 400% of the federal poverty level will no longer receive any subsidies at all. They're going to pay their full premium dollar amount. Those aren't the only people who are going to be affected. So the percentages of the amount of subsidies that will be given out are also going to revert back to how they were before COVID. So so even if you have clients that are under that 400% who are still going to be receiving those subsidies might be a little lower. Not gone, just lower. So if you hear that they're getting eliminated, that person probably means the enhanced premium tax credits are getting eliminated. The entirety of premium tax credits are not going away, just the enhanced versions. So as you might imagine, your clients are going to get some sticker shock probably when they go log in to see their premiums, because not only are they going to be increased by the carrier, those premium tax credits might be going away for them.
Yeah, and you've done a real good job explaining that, Chelsea. Just to boil it all down to a simple sentence, right? Things are going back to the way they were before COVID, right? Before we've all had these past 4 years of the expanded premium tax credits. Which means that combined with normal carrier increases of the 20% that we're seeing roughly across all carriers in the under 65 market, they are also seeing reduced subsidy levels as well, and that is what's contributing to your consumers are seeing reduced subsidy levels. So that's what's contributing to the sticker shock. And we'll have some tips later on today on how to navigate some of that sticker shock, but let's give you some of the other landscape that we're working in here as well. And again, if you have any clarifying questions, please put those in the chat Q&A, and Chelsea and I will help you out.
Okay, so make sure nobody from CMS is like surrounding you behind you. I'm going to tell you a rumor really quick. So look around. But this is what we've heard. Word on the street is what might be put in place. So again, for the umpteenth time, this is not set in stone. We don't have any additional like solidified details. CMS has not made anything public, but rumor has it that legislation currently is looking to be passed or is in the works of extending the enhanced premium tax credit for 2 years, this year, plan year 2026 and plan year 2027, including an income cap that would phase out credit for those who earn between 200 and 400K. What that looks like, I'm not completely sure yet, but it's in making it basically tapering it off for those who are at those higher income levels and getting the subsidies. And then putting more anti-fraud measures into place so that people who have passed or other things like that aren't getting any more subsidies or getting subsidies anymore, I guess I should say. But again, this is just a rumor. I do not know if this is actually going to happen. This is just word on the street. I will also say that Connecticut has a state-based marketplace, and they came out a couple days ago and straight up told their agents like, "Hey, don't just hold on, just hold on." So I don't know if, I doubt Connecticut knows anything that we don't know, but I think that that speaks volumes if there is an entire state, and Connecticut of all states, that's willing to like say, hey, we're gonna tell you to hold off for a second. So they at least have thoughts and prayers and hopes that something is going to come out between now and then, just as a rumor. So there you have it. That's the best I've got for you. I wish I had more for you, but unfortunately, this is what we're working with here. So until we hear something otherwise, your clients are going to get some sticker shock when they went window shopping and now in when they sit down with you to go through their plan details and their premium stuff. This is not to be mixed up, however, with cost sharing reductions. So cost sharing reductions are another support system that your clients can have to help make their coverage a little bit more affordable. These usually work with silver plans and help with the cost sharing for things like copays and deductibles. And those are still going to be available. They're not going anywhere. They are for people who are within 100% to 100 and 200, sorry, 100% to 250% of the federal poverty level based on their income for 2025. If you are looking at this for plan year 2026, those are still there. They're not going anywhere. So don't be confused. Those are still there, not the enhanced premium tax credits though. Whew. So one big question I saw pop up a lot when I was in these CMS meetings is what will happen to my $0 premium clients? What's going to happen? Well, uh, nothing really. They still are, they might have a premium now if they didn't before. It's not like CMS is going to go try to find them a plan that's going to end up being $0. That's if you want to do that with your clients, if that's possible, if they have plans available in your area that have that $0, go ahead and try to do that. Absolutely. That's on what you should be doing as an awesome agent. I'm sure you're already looking for ways to be able to do that for your clients. But that will not happen automatically for your clients. So keep that in mind if you know that a client has a love for a $0 premium plan, that you as the agent are going to be putting that in front on the table for your clients.
Yeah, and that's a real interesting point, right? Some folks, and this has been a point of contention, receive so much or have received so much in subsidy because of the enhanced credits that their premium responsibility is $0. Should the credits not be extended, right? And that rumor not bear fruit, chances are, as people have lost subsidy, they're going to owe a premium. So be mindful of your carrier's grace periods and marketplace grace periods going forward as well. If they haven't been used to paying a premium for the past 4 or 5 years or so, and now they have a premium responsibility, that's going to be a shock to them, right? That they have to go, to pay the bill, and that could lead them to be kicked off coverage pretty quick if they're not paying those bills within, the carrier rules. So always make sure, especially for your zero premium folks, right now, that you are taking steps to help them actively re-enroll so you can accurately determine what their subsidies are and help them determine whether they need to set up auto pay or some other method to take care of what they may now owe.
I thought about that too. So like, man, if I all year had nothing, my credit card numbers would be totally different. So at least very much make sure that you can get credit or payment information from your clients so that they can pay that premium if they do end up needing to pay one. A couple questions had came up about CHIP. So stay ahead of that. Make sure that if your client is someone who has a child who is receiving CHIP benefits, make sure that their income levels are up to date on the application if you are doing anything, if that person does have an application, I guess I should say. But if they have a child, and they're receiving CHIP, make sure that that income level is accurate so that CHIP either doesn't get removed for the client or they can still receive CHIP if they still qualify.
And that ties in with where we're going to go in a few moments. But because of how some policy around how excess premium tax credits will be handled, and we'll get there in just a moment, this is now more necessary than ever to make sure that if you have clients that may not be on Medicaid but have CHIP or are on that near that Medicaid threshold, that they do keep their incomes up to date, even on a monthly basis with their marketplace application, because it could spell trouble for them come tax time, and we'll get there in just a few moments.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions around that. We'll get there in a second, but there was a lot of questions surrounding how that was going to work. So for this portion as well, for if CHIP and for the tax credit stuff or EP, yes, there we go. What if, oh, we got a question, it looks like. Quotes I've done so far for individual families increased have been 3 times more than what they are currently paying. Most clients have decided not to enroll and hold off to see what the government may decide to do in the next week or two. Yes, I get that. We're gonna talk more about that, like your like plays, I guess, or like how you want to handle things later on in the show. But yeah, I hate to put myself on blast here, but I'm not gonna lie. I spent like so much time on my son napped on Reddit, like seeing all the questions people had about their health insurance and their subsidies and why is this going up so high and what happened and you weren't paying attention, man. So this is what happened. And yes, a lot of them are getting advised to wait, and they might have heard, maybe they heard this whole entire state of Connecticut saying, "Hey, let's wait." Um, so yeah, a lot of them want to see what's going to happen, and I don't blame them, and I don't blame you as an agent if you wanted to wait a little while and see, and not have to redo all that work again. But I'm getting way ahead of myself because I'm getting way too excited talking, talking nerd stuff about it. Okay, so what if the enhanced payment tax credits pull through? As of right now, CMS does not have a public plan. They have not shared anything with us. In every single CMS webinar I have attended since this has been announced, someone has asked what's going to happen, and they always just copy and paste the same thing. We have no public plan. So they have no public plan. Okay, so the repayment of the advanced period tax credits for those who might miss estimating their income appropriately. So it used to be back in the day, it was, or currently it is capped. It's going back to how it was back in the day. That's how I mean to say that. And it is capped right now for those below 400% of the federal poverty level. But it is going to change back to how it was back to 2021, and full credits must be repaid if someone's income is underestimated or overstated. So basically exactly like it was in 2021. So as you can imagine, it's going to be very important to make sure that you are telling your clients to guesstimate their income if they are someone who, is self-employed or lives on tips or whatever, to be very careful estimating what their income is because they might have to pay some of those credits back. The phrase they kept using in the CMS webinars was flagrant disregard for the I struggle to say that word, but disregard for the facts. So ridiculous disregard for the facts. It was not the exact word, but I struggle to say the real word. So if there's like a little bit of if it's a slight discrepancy, it sounds like that the IRS is going to use its own discrepancy to kind of say, oh, that's a little bit, that's no big deal. But if there is a flagrant, there we go, disregard for the facts, and this person wildly over or underestimated their income, they're going to make that person pay that back. And this will not be when it comes up like, here, I'll just move the slide so you can see. This is what will happen for 2025 tax year. So like a few months from now, this is what you're looking at for paying back. So don't have your clients panic for a few months from now. This is what's getting paid back a few months from now, is what you're seeing on your screen here. I won't read it to you. You can look at it. But for 2026, this is not happening. And everyone's going to have to pay back all excess tax credits, regardless of their income, unless they were like just slightly off or whatever, with the IRS using its best judgment.
So what that means, and not to put a too fine a point on it, anytime or for any month rather that your client received a tax credit they were not entitled to, A, because their income made them Medicaid eligible for that month or those months, or B, because they made too much to be eligible for tax credits. They were above the subsidy cliff, but they didn't adjust the application in time to have their credits adjusted. They'd be paying that amount back to the IRS come tax time. So it's especially important for folks who are right at that Medicaid cliff or whose incomes might vary to be able to update their applications, because there's no cap on what they'll have to repay for tax year 2026. So when they do taxes in spring of 2027. On either way, so even folks who are on Medicaid can have a lot of financial exposure here, right? If they're not accurate in reporting their income throughout the year. So please, we cannot stress enough the importance of helping them report those income changes to the marketplace as they happen.
Ooh, sounds stressful. But that's what you're here for as the agent, to help them out and make sure that they know. So here's another premium tax credit rule that's getting changed. So back currently, advanced premium tax credits were available for those who were lawfully present but not a citizen. Those who fall in that oddly specific category. If you were a citizen, you generally would get Medicaid if you were 100% below the federal poverty level, so you would not qualify for premium tax credits, not because you made too much money, but because you were then told, hey, you should probably go get on Medicare, right? But those of us who were lawfully present but not citizens don't qualify for Medicaid. So the solution here was to at least give those people advanced premium tax credits so they could find affordable coverage on the marketplace. So as of the end of this year, that's not going to be a thing now. So those people can still go on the marketplace. They can still get coverage. They're just not going to be getting any premium tax credits. So they as well are going to look at their premiums and go, and think that they went way, way, way. They're going to Hank Hill and that premium ain't right. So they're going to look at it and go, oh my gosh. And then again, you as the agent are probably going to have to step in and help them out there because they're going to see this giant sticker shock. And it's not that the premium necessarily went up, it's just that they're not getting helped get it through that process. They will show a list later of like what exactly qualifies where. But just to make it super, super clear, this is going to happen for both new and existing applicants, and they're no longer going to financially qualify. And this is exactly from the slides from CMS. If they have an annual household income less than 100% of the federal poverty level, they're lawfully present non-citizens, and they're ineligible for Medicaid due to their non-citizen status. So those people, unfortunately, are going to have to either pay full price on the marketplace, or maybe they're going to have to look at some non-ACA options to get a premium that's easier for them to swallow. Because I can't imagine those who were at that level are going to just have all this extra cash to throw at giant premium plans. So keep that in mind if you are working with lawfully present non-citizens. Okay, catastrophic coverage. So a little bit of a change happened here. So before 2026, before this plan year, you could only qualify for catastrophic coverage in three ways. You were either 30 years old or younger, or you had an affordability exemption, meaning that, in detail, the lowest price coverage available to you through the marketplace or from your employer would cost more than 9.96 of your household income for 2026. Yeah, that was a little bit lower for last year, but for this year it'll be 9.96. Or if you experience some type of hardship, there are lots of hardships. I'm not going to list all of the hardships. There are things like being homeless or evicted or shut off notice. So the whole list is on CMS. There's a long, long list. But now the government was so generous to losing your tax credits be a hardship. It is hardship number 14. So if you have this hardship, you are now able to use that as a way to get yourself catastrophic coverage. If that's the route that your client wants to go, you can get that for your client. That's only if this person lives in an area where catastrophic coverage is available. So you're not going to automatically have that as an option, but that catastrophic coverage is now available as a hardship for losing those credits instead of just the list of like a bajillion other hardships.
Right. And the play here particularly is for your folks who are above 400% of FPL who would no longer receive premium tax credits. That's who this exemption is built for them to be still enrolled in marketplace coverage. Of course, catastrophic coverage and their income will make them ineligible for premium tax credits, but at least they've got some kind of coverage they can go for at that point. Same thing for folks that are under 100% of FPL. If they're not on Medicaid or not eligible for Medicaid for whatever reason, again, they have access to catastrophic plans here, regardless of their age, which can be helpful. It's better than nothing, even though it ain't the greatest.
Right, exactly. I should say too out loud, that CSRs are also something you can lose that would qualify them for qualify your client for catastrophic coverage. But most of the people who might be interested in this are the CSRs, or I'm sorry, the tax credits, APTCs, not the CSRs. But they also would have that option. So just a hot, fast review just before we get into the next. Just catastrophic coverage does cover all essential health benefits. It does protect against devastating medical expenses, and it does provide access to preventative care without any cost sharing. So it's the downside is, there is lower premiums, but man, that out-of-pocket max is going to be crazy. So it is available. It is a thing. It's better than, like Randy said, it's better than nothing, but it does cover some stuff. So if it's there as an option for your clients, if they have that hardship. They also will cover anybody who is qualified health plan eligible. In case you're curious, it covers the month before, the month of, and the month after, months of, I should say, of the hardship. And what that is defined as for those of us who are entering because of the tax credits, it will be for the entirety of the 2026 plan year. You can have that catastrophe coverage if you're losing your tax credits or your CSRs. Whether or not that will be available continuing after that point is another story, but we do know it is available for you and your clients in 2026. Another quick thought here is if you're working with a state or in a state where they are not expanding Medicaid, that also the catastrophic coverage would be available for them as well. And they will get a calendar year extension. We don't have, and I will say as well, whether or not Medicaid is going to be extended in Michigan I have not seen anything clarifying whether it is or is not. So it wasn't in that budget that got signed the other day, but I'm sure it was like a month ago. That budget. So might be something to pay attention to there. Okay, so how to enroll in catastrophic coverage, because from what CMS explained in the webinar, the CSR portion of that hardship is not covered or is not like translating well to the digital marketplace. So if you are applying because of the CSRs, I would do a paper application and select and check the select another hardship. But at healthcare.gov, the eligibility is automatically assessed based on the person's income, and then they will auto-populate those plans to that client as they look and shop for plans as that income is found to be eligible. And again, they only show up if they're available in that area. Did I say everything? Yes. Okay. So remember, this was asked a couple times, so I'm just going to put it out there. Never ever recreate another application for a person if you've worked with them. If their income changed, if they're just use the same application that you already had for that person, even if they're getting a catastrophic plan, even if they are selecting another hardship, even if they have a income change that's going to disqualify them from tax credits, even if unless they're a whole new human, then I don't know that you might want to get that looked at, but make sure that you are using the same application for the same person sitting in front of you. Otherwise, it's going to take longer for the application to be processed because they're going to have to, I don't know, do something behind the scenes to verify that that person is the same person from the previous application. So, Our next topic is ACA marketplace eligibility. This one has some changes. So daca recipients, as of October 1st, are no longer able to use the marketplace. So this one is pretty simple. And before they could, now they can't. They cannot receive premium tax credits. They cannot get CSRs. And they cannot participate in any Healthy Michigan plan or whatever version if you work in other states. They cannot participate in those either. So daca recipients, you're going to have to go have some non-ACA options, whether that be an off-marketplace plan, whether that be, whatever you want to do, but they can no longer use the marketplace. The marketplace, however, is still available for all of these people. I'm not going to read them all, and that is not even all of them. Unfortunately, there's so many like niche versions of people who are legally allowed to be in the country for whatever reason. There's a lot, so that is just like the most common ones. If you need it, I have the list of the full available. Let me know. I can check it for you, or I can send you the link to the full list. But that is the most often used list of people who still can use the marketplace, but might not actually be a citizen. Okay, so classic DE pathways. They existed. Now they will not. That one's another pretty easy one. Starting Halloween, so starting on Friday, they are no longer functioning. And if you are using a classic DE pathway, you will probably will be no longer using it because it won't be there. So if a lot of people were asking like, well, what is that? A lot of people confused it with Health Sherpa. Health Sherpa is not a classic DE pathway. That one explicitly was mentioned in the CMS webinar. So if you're looking at a classic DE pathway, what it looks like is this. You start at one website. When you click on a link, it takes you to healthcare.gov to either check to see if you had a subsidy or shop for plans or enroll, and then would take you back to the other website for at some point. So it was kind of like a side quest, and then you got back to the original website again. That is no longer to be. Now, you must use an enhanced DE pathway. So something like Health Sherpa, you don't go anywhere. You're staying on Health Sherpa to look at everything that you are doing throughout the process of enrolling your clients. So, something like coverage for one. At this point, and Health Sherpa and Stride and Quote It. Is that what that one's called? I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head, but those are the ones I can quote it in, or think of. Yeah, Quote It. That's what I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, bronze plans. So previous to this point, if a consumer had a bronze plan and they had cost saving reductions while they were enrolled in that bronze plan, they then were automatically re-enrolled into a silver plan so they could utilize those CSRs. This will no longer be happening, and consumers will always just be re-enrolled into, I shouldn't say always, customers often, most of the time, will be re-enrolled into their bronze plans. I mean, unless a plan closes or whatever. So this this would only have happened if if the product had the same network and all that stuff, or it was equivalent. Doesn't matter because it's not happening anymore anyway. So your client will not see, if they newly qualify for CSRs, they will not see themselves enrolled into a silver plan in the future. They're just going to keep the plan that they had. Okay, so HSAs for HSAs for bronze plans. There we go. So usually silver plans had HSAs. Now any plan that is a high deductible health plan will be considered HSA eligible automatically. So if that is the case and your client has a bronze plan or a catastrophic plan, they can get an HSA. They guess about 283,000 people in Michigan will now be able to have an HSA that could not before. So if you are someone who didn't sell a lot of plans that had HSAs, it's probably going to be a good idea for you to brush up on HSAs. We have a couple YouTube videos and we've hosted some webinars that explain those to you. I highly recommend checking those out so that you can explain the tax benefits and the reasons why someone would want to have an HSA. Because I'll tell you what, before I started doing this, started working in health insurance, I had no idea why they were beneficial to me, and I would just do what my friend did and told me to spend all of it on allergy pills. So don't let your clients do that.
For HSAs, though, we should point out that of the individual carriers we work with, all of them have a relationship with health equity, so built into the plan. So, and we've heard that in various stages, of course, that that integration is there. It's built when you're quoting and looking to enroll. That in most cases you'll be able to automatically enroll in the HSA. Remember though that HSAs are portable, they belong to the client, right? So they may have HSA funds out there from another institution or from a previous employer or so on and so forth. Always a good idea to talk to them and with them about rolling that over or otherwise transferring that into their current HSA. So the money's there in one place, right? HSAs aren't like other flexible spending or aren't like other consumer driven health accounts where it's use it, lose it. Sometimes it just sits there. And if you invest it, it grows. There's part of the tax advantage for it. But there's a lot of HSA dollars just sitting out there dead that your clients may have forgotten about. If they are thinking about HSAs, always a good idea to have a conversation with them about where that, if they have any other HSA funds out there that they might be able to tap into as well.
They might be paying maintenance fees on them too if they're just sitting there. So even if the person's like, "Oh, I'm not going to use that money. I'm just going to let it sit there." If the if it's not attached to a plan, it might be taking maintenance fees out of it just sitting there. So it might also be a good option, even if they're not going to use the money, to then transfer it into the account that's not going to have a maintenance fee attached to it. So a good idea to always ask, especially if you have clients like I was before health insurance. I worked in health insurance and had no idea what you would have been talking about if you'd have asked me if I had one. So, normally I don't call out carriers this blatantly, but here we go. So Molina, Ambetter, and Hap CareSource, they're leaving. They're exiting the market. So if you are appointed with any of those three, Molina, Ambetter, and Hap CareSource, you might have clients whose plan is, especially in the southeastern portion of Michigan, I know for sure, those plans are exiting the market. So it was asked what's going to happen, and CMS says that your client will not wind up with no coverage at all if you do nothing. Or if they choose to do nothing. Like, so don't freak out if you can't get a hold of the client. They will be put into a similar plan, but they might not like that plan. So make sure that if you do have someone who's exiting or whose plan is exiting, I should say, make sure you get a hold of them and make sure that they like the plan that they have so that you can be a great agent for them, really.
Yeah, and to that point, even though the marketplace may be crosswalking your member into another plan, and the AOR on the marketplace application itself that the government is concerned with will go ahead along with you, right? Because that's how we avoid the three-way calls or getting three-way calls with the marketplace, so on and so forth. The AOR may not carry over to the new carrier, meaning that if you had a client, right, that was enrolled in the HAP marketplace plan, and now that HAP is left, they're getting transferred to a blue or a priority. At the carrier level, that AOR may not come over with you. So even if they like that plan, always better to have that person actively renew so they can assign you or note that you're AOR. They can notate with the carrier that you helped them out with that application, so you still get credit for the sale and the renewal commission, as it were. So just a tip there behind the scenes. Yes, the marketplace AOR will transfer, but that's different than the carrier AOR. You want to protect your book, make sure they both go with you to the new plan.
It was a mystery. They did not address that in the CMS webinar. So uh, good thing we did. So here's what's the same. And again, this is the portion where if you have any questions, please feel free to ask because what's included in this section is not all encompassing by any stretch of the imagination. This is just the stuff that CMS felt that they should address as staying the same. So this is not all encompassing of everything that's staying the same ever. This is just the stuff that was in question by those who were attending at the CMS events that I was looking at. So the 150% federal poverty level SEP is still getting eliminated. That's not coming back, at least as far as we know right now. I feel like I have to say that every 5 minutes in webinars like this, but as far as we know right now, that is still going to be eliminated. It was eliminated back on August 25th of 2025. So what that was is consumers who had 150% poverty below the federal poverty level got SEPs to move plans. That's not a thing anymore. They will have to wait for open enrollment to move plans if they want to do that. And then telehealth and HSA bronze plans, this would have expired last year, and it still is going to be extended into the future. So HSA eligible high deductible health plans could cover telehealth services pre-deductible, and they still can do that. And it is permanent now, so it will not have to be like extended ad nauseum every few years. So telehealth services and remote services are able to be covered before the deductible for high deductible health plans. So again, those aren't just the only things that are remaining the same. Those are just the things that were kind of like in question or people were unsure about. So if you have any questions about things that are remaining the same, please drop them in the chat. And speaking of dropping things in the chat, I have a question for you. Many of you might have came here for this kind of discussion at time or kind of think about this portion, but with all these changes, it's interesting to think about how you might formulate your plan of attack for this year for OEP because of all the things that in theory are still in limbo. So if you could be so kind while I take a sip of water to think about how you might attack your plan year 2026. And if you have any ideas of what you might do, I know Christine already put one in the chat for us. Go ahead and put that in the chat. I don't know, Randy, if you have any ideas of what you might do.
I do. I'll cover for you while you take a sip of water there, and 'cause you've been talking a lot. So there's lots of ways, right? And as Christine pointed out, certainly wait and see is an option. And we have to see, right, if that legislative proposal that's been kind of kicking around on the hill about the 2-year extension gains any steam. And if it does, well, gosh, it makes things a bit easier, at least if it happens quick. But there's other things out there you can do too. Some folks that we've talked to, especially if you happen to have a client base that's not typically tax credit eligible, they are, or have been above that 40% FPL. Some folks are treating this as business as usual, but they are taking a look and saying, gosh, if now my only real solid option for premiums are either expanded bronze plans or catastrophic plans, I'm taking a look at those and I've got to think about how I can make up and cover those giant deductibles, those giant out-of-pocket maximums. So some folks are thinking about supplemental benefits to offset those costs. And again, those healthier folks who may be higher income there, as Chelsea's got in the screen, are looking at some non-ACA alternatives as well, like our friends from USA Health Plans who, frankly, are expecting a boom year because of all this uncertainty in the market.
So that is a very strong possibility, especially if you're someone working with a lot of people who are here in the country but might not necessarily be citizens yet. Like if you've got daca people, if you have green card holders, refugees you're working with, you probably are going to want to maybe look at some of the ACA alternatives. Because they might not be receiving tax credits, they might not be eligible for the marketplace, they might not be eligible for Medicaid. There might be a lot of mitigating factors here that might make you make a decision that is different from someone who you might be working with who is a citizen right now. Another option is offering catastrophic plans to those who qualify because of the exemption. That's something new for them. If there's someone who really is strapped for cash and is looking for and I guess is willing to hope and pray that they're not going to get hit by a bus, they can get those catastrophic plans and hopefully not ever have to pay that sky high out of pocket max. I know, no shame in it. I had catastrophic plan back when I was a substitute teacher many, many years ago. So I definitely understand that that does work for some people, right? Perfectly healthy option, especially if your client is banking that this is going to just be a year's worth of time that they're going to need this coverage, since we don't know how long that hardship extension is going to last.
Yeah, and we should mention again, and I can't make this point strong enough, that that catastrophic plan would now be HSA eligible, right? So yes, there's a play for folks who are lower income for catastrophic plans. But there's also a play here for folks that may have some means, right? That are above that 4% FPL. Because now I can take that catastrophic plan. I might stack ancillary products on top of it if I can afford the premium, so I don't have to pay 18 grand for my family deductible all at once, but also take advantage of the investment opportunity, right, for the HSAs. So there's a play at both ends of the income spectrum there that's certainly worth exploring to support your clients with for sure.
That probably same thing. If that would have been a thing when I had a catastrophic plan, I might have actually taken up and used some of that. If someone explained it to me, I never would have figured it out on my own. But if someone would have explained, okay, you could have put like your premium used to be this much. If you continue to pretend like you had to pay that much in premium, put the rest of that in the HSA, and then you could carry that over if you didn't use it, that would have been really attractive to me at that point in my life, because then eventually I would have been able to use that money. So something to think about. Um, if it were me as an agent, I'd probably focus a lot on those as well who would be unaffected by the changes due to the premium tax credits if I had any consumers that were like that, because you're not going to have to change anything if someone, or I guess I shouldn't say someone, if the government does choose to do anything about and bring back, resurrect the enhanced premium tax credits, then you're not going to have to change anything for that person. It's not going to change their premiums. So they'll have already made peace with what they're going to pay for their premiums. You might also choose to work with those whose plans are closing first. If you're someone who is with Molina, Ambetter, or HAP Care Source, because again, you're going to want to protect that AOR, make sure that you're still remaining agent of record, or you really just want to make sure that that person likes the plan that they're in. The government can only do so much to guess what plan is best for the client, right? So you know what drugs your clients take. You're the one who's going to get in there and really do the dirty detail work, right? You're going to make sure that those drugs are working for your client. You're the one who's going to make sure that their doctor is in network. You're the one who's going to make sure that they are able to exactly afford that premium, that it fits just right for them. So if it were me and I was an agent and I was with any of those three, those probably be who I would attack first. And then you can wait. Since we don't, I was really, really, I said this to Randy yesterday, I was really hoping that I would have something else for you guys to tell you, that I could say, okay, here's what we heard last night at 4:37 p.m. So we could whip up something really quick to tell you guys. There's nothing to tell you. So unfortunately, the only, not only other suggestion, I shouldn't say that, but another suggestion, unfortunately, I still have to give you is just wait and see what happens. If the rumor we told you earlier does end up not being a rumor, you would have to undo and redo potentially a lot of enrollments that you had already done. So waiting and just maybe having a discussion with the client and then saying, hold off in the meantime, see what's going on, depending on your style or of in the relationship you have with your clients, maybe that's the best option. Maybe honesty is that best policy, and saying, hey, look, I don't, here's what the government is doing. I don't have control over these things. I'm trying my best. Here's what you should prepare yourself for. I might be able to have a really nice surprise for you later on this week or next week or whatever. Just hold tight. Or you might, if you don't have that relationship with your clients, just waiting and seeing and putting off talking to them a little bit longer. it all just depends on your style as an agent, right? Which one will work best for you and the client.
Yeah, and wait and see here. I should stress, doesn't mean you can't do nothing, right? You can
Right.
still talk to your clients, figure out if there's any changes in doctors or drugs that they're on, so we can shop when it becomes helpful to do so. You can always update anything else that needs to be updated on the application. Think about income and those sorts of things, and do that. Do everything but make the plan selection. To really kind of front load some of the work here and do that, that heavy work of plan selection, enrollment, in December maybe, right? If you have the time and that the client knows to do so, and we'll kind of figure out what's happened with subsidies hopefully by that point.
If you're anything like me, this would drive you crazy as an agent. I would not be this. The waiting would drive me nuts. Like I feel bad. Like I understand because like the having the application just half done sitting there would drive me absolutely wild. I would be itchy every night. I get it, but it would you rather do that or do it twice? I mean, that's a if all that comes back. Um, I wish I could tell you something a little more solid, but that's what I have for now for you. So that's all I have for you today. Unless anyone wants to chat about any other strats that they have, or if you have any questions on anything that's changing, or if you have any, maybe you have rumors that yeah, we don't know. Maybe your neighbor works for CMS and you want to just tell me what's tell us what you know. I don't know. Just joking. But um other than that, have a great AEP, OEP. Get out there and sell. Contact your account managers if you have any more questions you think of later. They're whole, right out there. There's a whole team of them. They've been on the phone like crazy. They've been entering apps. They've been talking strat. They've been just giving out disruption reports. They've been all sorts of stuff over there. Next time I walk by, I'm going to steal a piece of candy and talk to them and see what's up. See what news they have for us. And of course, we will keep our ear to the ground and let you know if the second we know about any changes or any news, we will let you know. Randy, do you have anything to say to the people before we go?
To the people, I say thank you again for your time and attention here today. Thanks for joining us here. As Chelsea said, your account management team here at Action is a great resource for you, but Chelsea and I are also here to step in wherever you might need to think about anything, whether it's this compliance stuff, all the legal stuff, what's happening industry wise, or anything else you might need. We're happy to help serve you as well and make sure you have a successful AEP, OEP, and beyond. So that's it from my end. Good luck, good selling, and Chelsea, take us away here.
All right, have a great rest of your day, everyone. Get out there, sell, do what you do best, and we'll do what we do best, handing back on the sidelines, helping you out in any way we can. Have a great rest of your day, and see you tomorrow, actually. We have another one coming up tomorrow. So join us again tomorrow if you just can't get enough of Randy and Chelsea.